This is the Plain English Real Estate Show with your host, Rowena Patton, a show that focuses on the real estate market in terms you can easily understand. Now here's the English girl in the mountains, the agent that I would trust, Rowena Patton.
Well, here we have today somebody who's a social legend, Geoff Talbot, in a very different way. So without further ado, let me hand over to Geoff. What you gonna just give us some amazing things today, Geoff? And you know the rule here, you have to give away 3 actionable things that people can work on. What you got?
Oh, that's amazing. I'd love to. Yes. In actual fact, we'll start with the action and the idea of action because I want people to know who are listening to this that if all you do is listen to what is often voted as the sexiest accent in the world, your life,
Wait, I thought that
your
was mine, Mr.
no,
Kiwi.
no, it's mine. It's mine. It's
No,
mine.
no, it's mine. Pick me.
Okay, the sexiest male accent in the world is mine, and the sexiest female accent in the world is yours. But if all you do is listen to me talk, and if all you do is jump on Zooms, for example, and listen to people talk, actually nothing changes. And so we do want to start with action because the way that your life changes, the way that your business truly grows is when you take actions that transform the space between you and other people. In other words, when you start conversations with people, whether you start more conversations. So one of the things that we help people do is we say, let's get you talking more to people. Like talk to more people, your business will grow. We know this about sales, that volume is part of it. And if you're having more conversations, you'll make more sales. But often we're looking strategically for conversations rather than saying, screw all that. Let me just be more open. Let me just talk more. And there are 8 billion people on the planet. There's never, as far as I know, unless you know differently, Rowena, there's never been this many people on the planet. And there's never been more opportunity to talk to people. I'm in New Zealand right now. You're in the United States. We're talking, people are watching from all these different places. We've never been more connected. And yet sometimes we kind of say, no one knows about me. Who do I talk to? Oh, anybody? Everybody? Like there's so many opportunities to have conversations and we get stuck. Maybe, I don't know what you think, but do you think we get stuck because there are too many opportunities? Like,
It's so funny you asked that. I've been making some posts about this recently, and one of them was about scripts. And
yeah,
I basically said, throw the scripts out of the window, throw off your realtor hat, and start having human conversations because real estate isn't really about the house. It's about
yes,
memories that somebody's developed in that house. It's about their reason for moving on. I can give you a good example of that where a lot of us work with seniors. And when I say seniors, I don't mean 19-year-olds, 90-year-olds necessarily, like 50, 60, 70,
mm,
80, 90, and they're in these 5-bedroom homes and they're clinging to this box because of all the memories in there.
yes,
You know, they've got the
yeah,
little borders around. I'm sure, well, you were in Los Angeles, so you know all of this.
yeah,
But you're not old enough to remember the little horsey border, wallpaper borders around the top of the room. But you've probably seen them in houses, and they're
yeah,
still clinging to that, even though their kids are 50 and 60 and got their own lives in a different place.
yeah,
So when you go to them and say, "So, have you thought about buying or selling real estate recently?" It just
yeah.
the message doesn't connect. So I love what you're saying there, Geoff.
Oh, so you're so right. And when I was working with realtors a while back, I used to tell them the story of when um, I grew up in a house that I loved. It was this big house. There was lots of space. The outdoors were huge. It was like really adventurous. There was this wild bush out the back, and I lived there from 5 till 17, and then I went off to university in a different part of New Zealand. And my parents moved. I was at university for 5 years and they moved around about my fourth year. So I'd come back for holidays. But then one time I went to university, they sold the house and I never got to come back. And I didn't really think anything of it because I'm 17 and I'm 20 or so at the time actually, and I'm having loads of fun in life. But one thing I noticed was a few years later was I was like, man, I have this recurring dream, a literal dream that keeps coming back to me at nights. And in my dream, I would drive down the street that we lived on. I would go into the driveway of my car, I'd get out of my car and I knock on the door and I would expect my mum to answer the door. And in my dream, it was the new person living there. And I would say, I just want to come in and look around. And they would say
Oh,
no. And they would close the door.
you
And
know, I have a oh my
yeah,
gosh, sorry, continue.
I realized that that's what real estate really is about. This like attachment to a place. Like, I wanted to say goodbye or I wanted to stay attached to the memories.
Yeah.
And when you think about, I love what you were saying because when you think about social media and how people talk about real estate and how people engage, they're often tempted to think about it in a transactional way when, like, what if you sold someone's house and you managed to give them a piece of that house in terms of a memory to take with them? What an amazing realtor you would be,
Have you read
right?
my book?
No, I haven't.
Program called The Memories Video. We didn't
Ah,
make this up, guys, I promise. Like we didn't rehearse this.
no.
So the book is free on the Listing Royalty app where you're watching this now. It's called
Yeah,
Find Your Unique Value Proposition. One of the programs, I wrote it for realtors so they could steal the ideas, came
yeah.
about when I went with a listing agent years ago that I was training, Caroline Kalpinski. She was just starting out. She came from
Hmm.
Bozeman and she was my assistant and I took her out. She's now one of the top listing agents in the region. And we were sitting with an elderly couple and they were in this big farmhouse and he was in a wheelchair. She was in her 70s, and I said, I'm changing her name. Susan, I can tell you really don't want to sell this house. And she said, my daughter got married coming down those stairs. And that's where the memories video was born. So we always
Yeah,
offer a memories video because I said, you know what? I totally understand. But you're not attached to this box. You're attached to the memories in it. So let's get those memories for you. You don't have to be
mhm,
in the video. I will get them for you. We'll upload the video onto YouTube. We'll make it private. You can share it with your kids in their 60s,
yeah.
their kids, your grandkids, and you'll have it forever because that's the bit. Now imagine, Geoff, if you'd had that video where you could walk around the house and remember it all because we're
I
attached
know,
to memories and
I
what
know.
our life in the house, not the house.
Right. And I still sometimes have dreams of buying that house. And I have no real interest in living there. In fact, I went back and it was so different. Like I went physically back 12 years later. I was like, I don't want to live here, but I want to live back there a
Yeah,
little bit.
yeah.
And actually, here's our first um, action item for people. When you're thinking about social media, and you're thinking about engaging your sphere of influence and your people, one of the things that you want to do is you want to get them talking with you, and sharing what's important to them with you and with each other. And so, one thing you can ask is a question like, "What's what's your strongest memory, or what's your favorite memory of the house you grew up in, or the
Oh,
home you
gosh.
grew up in?" Now, be prepared for really interesting answers because they won't all be good.
Wow.
That's the first thing to be aware of. But it doesn't matter whether they're good, bad, or indifferent. You're going to be talking with people about the homes they lived in, the environment they grew up in, their memories they grew up in. For example, I had one person, I've never met this person in my life. I've only known them from social, but I know them quite well over years. She said, my favorite place was hiding under this shrub that came down to the ground because there was so much abuse in my house. Now, horrible, of course, but how amazing that another human being is telling their story.
Yeah.
And we don't get to, we want the warm, fuzzy memories of, oh, my favorite thing was this or that. And you'll get those, and that's great. But that's also not that interesting in a way. What's really interesting is when people are real. And what really is powerful from a sphere building, sales perspective, relationship building perspective, social media connects people. And when people share something that's important to them, good or bad, then a strong relationship is formed and they're not going to want to choose another real estate agent or another whatever it is that people do, like they're not going to want to choose another listing agent, right?
Absolutely.
Because you're the one they shared the story with.
A little background here. I came across Geoff one day and he reached out a few times, and I can't even remember how it happened, honestly. But I went on one of his 7 day challenges or something like that, and it was amazing. And it was really about, in my simple terms, slowing down to speed up and
Mm,
deepening that relationship. Because isn't it incredible that I have a program in a best-selling book, but I'd never thought of the option of posting a question, what are the memories of the house you grew up in? That's incredible. And it
mm,
worked. So I've been having all these conversations with people that I wasn't having. And
mm,
you can use it for anything, right? And it's not, some people,
mm.
Geoff, would say it's a manipulation. What would you say to that?
Well, I would say it's only a manipulation if you're not genuinely curious. And so, um, part of our work is to go deeper and say, yeah, like everyone here, they want, if watching this, they most likely have come to the site because they want more listings, right? And with our modeling, we look at that and say, yeah, you want more listings. But if you think about an iceberg, 10% of an iceberg is above the surface of the water. And no matter how much wind you blow at that iceberg, it doesn't change the direction of the iceberg. And what's above the water for you is why you maybe came to the site. You want more listings, and you think, if only I got more listings, it will change the direction of my life. But in actual fact, it's what's under the water that changes the direction of the iceberg, and what's under the water for you as a human being that will change the direction of your life and your business, and you'll get way more of the stuff above the water. Is this desire to be known, to be truly loved, to be fully supported. And the oil or the thing that makes that happen are the conversations that you have. And if you're having an amazing conversation every single day, you're going to be energized, you're going to be forming strong connections, you're going to get referred more, supported more, you're going to be more excited about your life. And that's what's actually over time going to get you all the listings that you want are the strength of the relationships you're forming. And so, like you were saying, Rowena, you have to slow down to speed up. And curiosity is really found in that slowing down phase and in that surrendering phase.
Yeah.
And so it's only a
Talk about
manipulation if I'm talking.
surrendering.
Yeah, it's only a manipulation if I'm just talking to you because I want to get your business. But if I surrender and go, I'm about to swear. No, I won't swear, but
You
like
can swear, it's all right.
trusting, like screw it all, like trusting the process here. I'm just going to be an amazing human being and have incredible conversations. And I'll know when to talk about business. I'll trust myself as well. I'll know when it's appropriate. They'll bring it up. I mean, goodness me, like I think you'll probably agree with this, but this notion that some people seem to have probably born out of anxiety, which is I can talk people into selling their property is like ridiculous. Like people have their own life challenges, stuff going on. Like really all you can do is have conversations with people, be of service, be a great human being, share what you want in your life and find out what they want in their life and figure out how we can help each other. Because you can't like to sort of scroll through social and try and convince people that they should sell their house, which if you look at a lot of people in real estate's
Yeah,
posts, you would say that's kind of the goal.
yeah.
It's a bit crazy.
It's so interesting you say that. So I think the part that you taught me is not just to post something on social and say, tell me about your memories, but then to deepen the conversation. And
Yeah.
it works. Obviously, it works. And obviously, it pushes the post up the more comments are on there.
Yes.
You can call that a manipulation as well if you want. That's okay.
Right.
We don't care.
Yeah.
So on top of that, I'm hearing the objections coming up. Yeah, but we get texts and Facebook messages and all this stuff coming at us all the time. How do we keep track of all those messages?
Right. So that's a really good point. One of the things that we teach is to kind of cap your talking. And so we have, if you like, a formula for building a powerful sphere of influence, and there are three parts. And the conversation part is to have 50 compelling conversations a week, right?
Okay.
And
10 a day.
so once you
Is
reach
that
that,
different people? So is it 10 different conversations a day with 50 people, or is it 10 conversations with the same person going back and
no,
forward?
I would say 50 people,
Okay.
50 compelling conversations. And we define it shouldn't that shouldn't freak you out, right? Like it seems like a lot, but a compelling conversation simply is where you learn one thing about them and they learn one thing about you. That's it. And sometimes you'll learn 10 things about them and they'll learn one thing about you, but there always has to be a deepening in conversations deepen relationships. And so I could talk about this for hours literally, but one of the things for people watching to think about is when I'm talking with people for work in real life, am I one of those people who's just really interested in the other person and ask lots of questions, but I don't tend to share so much of myself? Because that will actually hurt you if that's the case. And a lot of people in real estate, great human beings, amazing at serving other human beings. And I've worked with dozens more, hundreds of these people. And when I ask them, okay, let's choose five people who you absolutely love in your sphere of influence, five clients, and I'll ask them questions, like five questions about those clients. Do they know do you know what they do for a living? Do you know how they get business? Do you know their story? Do you know their dream? There's another one too. And they'll answer yes. They've learned everything they need to know about that person. And then I say, now, if I ask those people the same questions about you, would they be able to answer the questions? And they're like, no, they don't really know that I mostly work by word of mouth. They don't know that. They don't know what my goal is with my real estate career. And it's like, wow, what happens then is you've built a service relationship, and I know that people listening to this will have felt this. And then at some point in that relationship, at some point of the conversation, normally right at the end, before you run off, you go, hey, if you know of anyone who wants to buy or sell, would you tell them about me? And you feel as awkward as shit. Like you feel so awkward because the reason is you feel awkward, and you should feel awkward, is until that point, you've set the relationship up and the conversation up to be all about them. And then you're like, and me, right at the end. And so, what we want to do when we're talking with people on social, in real life, is make it about both of us. And if the other person cannot see you, understand you, has no interest in you, then great, just let it go.
Move
Like
on.
you're after relationships in your life and in your business where you're equally important, where your business growth is as important as them finding a wonderful house.
Do you
And
think,
you,
Jeff? I
yeah,
wonder if that why is because they are nervous about saying, I'm new in real estate, or gosh, I've had a hard year in real estate, because then
right.
they won't want to use them as a listing agent or a buyer. Do you think they're scared to show the vulnerability of building their business? And what would you say to that?
Yeah, I think as a cultural rule, in the cultures that we're all in, British, New Zealand, American, Australian, whatever, Canadian, whoever is listening to this, we're not so good at making help from other people for us normal. It's just normal. Hey, I mean, it's a completely normal thing to be able to say, look, things are a bit slow at the moment. I'm working hard here. And we don't have frameworks, and that's another part of what we teach when it comes to forming what we call committed co-creators, which is the ultimate goal. You want people to co-create with you. Is we have one ask, and your one ask typically is referrals.
Anybody
It's a
who's
big
buying or
thing to
selling real
ask
estate?
for,
Oh,
like huge thing to ask for. Like you're like, hey, I mean, it's like me saying, hey, Rowena, would you give me 40 grand or 50 grand? And when you're asking for a referral, really,
yeah.
that's like what you're asking for. And that's in some markets, sometimes it's 5 grand, obviously, depends on where you are, like whatever your commission is
Yeah.
on a listing. And that's a big thing to ask for. It's also quite an impractical thing to ask for because most of the time people don't know anyone right now. And what we need to have is better ways of asking for help. And so one of the reasons we resist asking for help is we only have our one big thing, and normally we don't get anything from it. And if we do ask, we're just asking because we've read a book where someone told us to ask in this
Yeah.
way, rather than doing some deeper work and saying, well, what are some of the things that I want? Oh, I would like reviews, or it would be awesome to have some encouragement. We have Stacy, one of our people that we've worked with in our academy, and with about 8 or 10 other businesswomen, she set up an accountability group, and they help each other by supporting each other, right? Catching up with each other, checking in with each other. There's so many different ways that people can help you.
Yeah.
The key is to have a list of options. We call it a favor funnel, where you can pull one out and go, hey, why don't we, this has been awesome catching up with you. Could we write each other, if it's another business person, could we write each other a review?
Yes.
Let's just start helping each other. And so the ask should be for the relationship and not for the result. And so we always teach, and again, this is
Wow. Can
probably
you repeat that?
the ask is always for the relationship and not the result. And so the language that we teach and help people to use, we're using AI to help people form their messaging as well, but is always around this phrase, help each other more. So, Rowena, would you like to jump on a Zoom? We'll figure out how we can help each other more. The reason that's important is it's about both of us. So I'm not saying, hey, would you like to jump on a Zoom? I've got some ideas as to how I can help you. Then we jump on a Zoom and Rowena's sitting there going, great. What do you got for me, Geoff? And now she's the receiver and I'm the giver in a way, right? And so now it's all about she's come passive, I'm going to get. I'm going
Yeah.
to, or the other way is more like a mentorship relationship where people will say, hey, would you mind grabbing a coffee with me? I want to pick your brain. And then you wonder why that person always has a like superior edge.
Hmm.
And so, and you can't quite break in. And what you really want is mutual and equal relationships. So saying to people, hey, want to grab a coffee? Let's figure out how we can help each other more. We had Patricia use this particular language at a small business mixer. 16 out of 16 people said yes. 100% want to grab a coffee, figure out how we can help each other more. When she goes to those meetings, the very first words out of her mouth need to be, I'm so excited we're meeting today so we can figure out how we can help each other more. Because the context for the meeting needs to always be set throughout the meeting. Hey, these are some of the ways. Talk about all sorts of things while you're meeting. Have fun, explore, get to know them, but always come back to that thing. Man, we're going to help each other some more.
I
This
love
is going to
that.
be
That's
great.
big number two for you. So,
Yeah, mutual and equal.
and you're New Zealand and I'm British, so we can make some humor about a big number two for you, right?
Yeah,
Moving
of
on
course.
quickly. So, no, and the reason you're here is because you helped me so much. And we've
Right.
got an app that lots of eyeballs are getting on that I took a
Yeah.
hiatus to build to help people understand how to do different things at a higher level. And there's a lot of great people on there that are so giving and will give something where, hey, this is yours. This is a gift. Let me give it to you.
Hmm.
But I'm doing that because you've given such a gift to me.
Yeah,
And
that's
it
awesome.
wasn't just, oh, I paid a few dollars for a course and
Hmm.
it was very valuable what I got out of it. You've kept in touch. So it's like,
Yes.
how can I help Geoff? And I think that's what
Yes.
you're talking about, right?
Yeah. Like, okay, here's another thing that people, this is a big thing for me, and I'm guilty of this too. I think we all are, but especially online, we think, but maybe I need more people. Like, like if I had
Oh, it's just,
10,000 followers on Instagram, I'd be amazing. Or if I had 20,000 people in my Facebook group, things would take off. And of course, volume is part of it, but let's be honest, if you've got 5,000 social media followers, and if you put together all your channels, most people would have that. Some
Yeah.
people would have 1,000, some people have 5,000, some people have more. The problem for most people, that's a lot of people, right? 5,000 people is a lot of people. If you were to put them in a room, that's a whole big show, right? At a very big venue.
Yeah. You wouldn't recognize most of them.
You wouldn't recognize most of them. The problem isn't that you're not connected to enough people. The problem isn't even you're not connected to enough of the right people. Because for most people in real estate, they want to do maybe 30 transactions a year or have 20 referral partners, whatever it is. There's enough people there. The problem is you haven't figured out how to engage them deeply. And so if we just add more people to your problem, I promise you, it won't solve the problem. If you steal a bunch of Facebook posts that get people commenting, but you don't know how to engage, how to follow up,
Wow.
how to ask for co-creative opportunities, how to process the business, nothing will happen. Like it's not a volume problem, it's a depth problem, nearly always.
Wow.
Classic example,
Wow.
once talked to a realtor who was somewhat interested in our system, who was spending, I got to say, he was spending like 30K a month from memory on Zillow ads. And he was pretty close to broke. And he was doing business because of the volume of ads that he was running. This is going to sound harsh, but probably within 3 seconds of talking to him, but let's say 30 seconds of talking to him, I could tell exactly why he had to spend so much money on ads because his communication skills were so bad that it wouldn't matter. Like he was dry, he was boring, he he was judgmental. Like it was just like he was negative. That's from memory now. He was very negative as well. And it's like until he solves that problem,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter where he gets the leads from. He's always going to struggle to convert. That's a below the iceberg problem.
Yes. The
Like the
foundation.
direction of his, he's throwing so many leads, so many listings at the top of the ice, listing opportunities at the top of the iceberg. But it's costing him so much not to solve the real problem, which is how can I learn to engage people in a warmer, more compelling way,
Do
right?
you ever work with
That's the problem.
teams, Geoff? Because a lot of real estate agents, especially who are spending the 20 and 30,000, what they're doing is so Zillow changed the way they do things in the main. And I know somebody right now who's spending $30,000 on Zillow leads a month to
Yes.
feed her two real estate agents who are on call 8 a.m. in the morning till 9 p.m. at night, and these buyers are
Right.
calling. For example, we've got a system with our niches where we build a list and we go out to see them, and it's $99 a month. But you've got to go
Mm.
and go deep in the relationships. You've got to go and meet the senior living community managers. You've got to go and meet the divorce
Right.
attorneys. You've got to go and meet the builders. The list's all there and the scripts are all there. The stuff you wear is all there. But rather than spending that $99, they'd rather spend $30,000 on Zillow leads. And those Zillow
Mm.
leads chuck in, and then unless you develop a relationship with those people, you might do the 3 or 6 deals or 9 deals a month you need to pay for that and just
Mm.
even and maybe make a little bit of profit. The problem is, if you don't deepen the relationship with all those people that you
Yes.
start, there's nothing under the iceberg again. You're just chipping away at the top all the time. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, and you're also stuck, aren't you? You're stuck if you're not able to convert them to referrals, if you're not able to build a great relationship. There's a number of problems.
Yeah.
But one is you're always going to have to keep investing that 30K. And then
Wow.
what happens, as has happened in the past, when whether it's Zillow, whichever form of lead generation you're paying for, you're at their mercy. Like
Yeah.
they put their price up
Yes.
and there goes your profit. or they grow exponentially and now you're sharing the leads with more people and you're able to convert less. Like you're very much at their whim. And so if you truly want to have power in your business, you want to own the relationship. And so that's the other point about the kind of conversation work that we teach is most people who are listening to this will have been told try and be top of mind, like top of mind, top of mind.
Send them an
But
email.
yeah, top of mind is a very competitive place. Like, I mean, it's 6:30 a.m. here. Um, and if you ask me, what are three things you've thought about today? I've been up since 4, but I would struggle to tell you because my mind has thought of many things and
Yeah.
it's thought of many people. And so top of mind as a goal is about checking in, following up, adding a little value. It's actually manipulative, like in my mind. But the goal should be with your conversations is to become center of heart. So in other words, the
Wow.
realtor that when you talk about memories and they've shared memories with you, like if someone shares a memory in real life of the home they grew up in, you should share the memory of the home you grew up in. Now you have a connection around memories. Your memories are heart centric, aren't they? It's a much better place to be. And the heart is far more loyal and far less competitive. Like if you ask me, who are the three most important people in your life? I'm like, Gabriel, Rose, partner, right? It's easy, right?
Yeah.
Sweet, done. Those are my kids, right? Sweet. There's no competition. Any of you watching this call, if they're in trouble, my kids are in trouble, and you need me, you'll have to wait.
Yeah.
Right? That's just the way it is. And that's the kind of positioning you want to have in the minds of your sphere of influence. So they go, well, I'm not talking to so and so. She's my realtor. Why
Yeah.
would oh, no, I'm fine. I'm sorted. I've got one who cares, right? I've got the best. That's where you want to be because one, your life is so rich, and that's the other problem with an ad buying model is you get all sorts of people coming to you who you have to work with,
Yeah.
and we call that actually drinking poison. When you work with someone because they'll pay you, but you would never have them over in your house.
Yeah.
Like because they're just objectionable for you. And so
You're
when you
giving me
choose your
chills here. So the all the programs in the book, and I'm not selling the book, it's
yeah, of
free on the
course.
app. It's called Listing Royalty. It's all free.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, Out of that, we've developed niches. And the reason we've developed the niches is because I'm finding agents, my whole pitch is get back to why you started in real estate to help people. So,
Yes.
for example, senior living CPO is all about helping seniors. Do you have an affinity for seniors? And it's
Yes.
drawing people to me. Or do you work with a lot of people who are getting a divorce? Of course, we all do, sadly, these days.
Yes.
But I've done that and I know that and I'm experienced with that and I can help people in that. Or do you
Yes.
know people who are building a new home? It might be their dream home and the first one they've ever done. So you're
Yeah.
connecting with something that means something. So it gives me chills when you say
Mm.
center of heart rather than center of front of mind.
Mm.
Front of heart or center of heart
Center of heart. Yeah.
instead of
Center of
front of
heart.
mind. So
Yeah.
Geoff, what do your programs look like? Like how do people you obviously don't you've got to put bacon on the table too. But how do
Yes. Love
people work
bacon.
with you? What does the ladder look like?
Right. And so there are two main ways that we work with people. The first way is we have a community where we teach people once a week one aspect of our model and we do the work together. If you remember at the start, I said, and you agreed that the sexiest accent in the world, mine, you said, right. Yeah, you said mine. We agreed though that even just listening to that might give you chills, which I've mentioned quite a few times. But it won't actually change the world for people listening to it. What changes your world is when you use your voice
Yeah.
and your ears and you form a strong connection with other people. So in our community, which meets once a week on a Zoom, we do a little teaching, but then we set aside time for action. So start conversations with this group of people using this method. Organize your sphere of influence this way. Ask these particular co-creators for a meeting using this formula. And we have just in the last month added AI tools to that so that people, for example, could take a screenshot of their Facebook friend list and pop it into our AI tool, and it would give you quick ways to score your contacts and then tell you these are the people that you should message for a co-creative opportunity. Send this message.
Wow.
So the AI tools are making it, they're integrated with our models, but you still have to think, by the way, with AI. You still have to check.
Wait, you have AI models in Kiwiland?
Yes.
Did you bring it with you from Los Angeles?
Yeah. We're pretty backward. But the whole goal is to make it super easy for people to take action. I always tell people there's only one thing I can't do. I can't come to your house and turn your Zoom on and get you to hit send on a
Yeah.
message. But I can make it as easy as possible and lower the resistance as much as possible so that you can take action. And one of the ways that we have found to do that with people in real estate is let's do it together. Let's do it now. Let's give you feedback. Let's share
Oh,
results. That's what gets people results. And so we want to make action super easy. And so our community, people join for a year. It's pretty affordable in terms of coachings. And so that's number one way. And then the other way is some people go, I want to grow really fast. I want to implement your system super quick. Maybe you want to use your own form of AI. We can help you. And that's an inner circle type thing. And I work with 12 people that way.
love it.
Yeah, and then other ways there's lots of little like affordable things for people. Sometimes I'll teach a workshop, like one of our workshops that we teach our Sphere Academy, that's our community. Sometimes I'll go and I'll teach that to an office or a group of people as well.
I love it. Well, I'm sure you all agree that this is a really great human being, and we haven't known each other for that long, but I could just tell he had something special about him. And I thought this would be so great in real estate. And then Geoff shared he works with so many realtors and helps speak from the heart rather than take your, realtor hat off. So if you want to get hold of Geoff, you know where to get hold of him. Thank you all for listening today. Any final words, Geoff?
No, I just think if you need anything today, understand that what you need is only ever one conversation away. And to me, that gives me a lot of hope. And so, wherever you are in life, if you want a breakthrough, if you want anything at all, it's just one conversation away. So, be brave, talk to people, make a difference.
I love that. My mum used to say, if you don't ask, you don't get. If you don't
Yeah,
ask, the answer is always no. So how right you are. Thank you, Geoff. Love you.
no problem. Thank you.
You've been listening to the Real Estate News radio show with my friend and the agent I trust, Rowena Patton. She's not only a best-selling author who's helped thousands sell their homes, including the tough ones, she also coaches agents across the country to elevate their game. Connect with Rowena at realestatenewsradio.com. And if you're thinking about selling, get your full market value offer at cashcpo.com.